I've got chili 5 ways. This is the only video you're going to need to save all season because I've got you covered with every type. I'm starting out with the most traditional Boilermaker Tailgate Chili. This one has it all. It's beefy, it's got beans, it's tomato based, perfect for tailgates. So it's called Boilermaker Chili after the Purdue University Boilermakers and their tailgate. The hardest part about the recipe is just chopping the vegetables. Once that's done, it all comes together in one pot, and we know that's my favorite way to cook. So let's head over and get it all in the pot. We're gonna start by just browning our meats. This is ground chuck along with ground Italian sausage, which is gonna add, a bunch of extra flavor. This is gonna be your friend for this. And this process will probably take about 10 minutes. It's browned, and that sausage flavors the ground beef because it's got built-in flavor in it. This is one of the top-rated chili recipes at Allrecipes. So that's why I chose it, to show you. And I've never made it before. There's a bunch of fat in here, so we're gonna drain that out to avoid having to dirty up a colander. This is the way I drain my ground beef. That's how to use the absorbent paper towels. I'm gonna add the veggies in first. I'm second guessing my pot choice. Should have gone bigger. Also a little bit of celery, and then I'm going in with 2 seeded and chopped jalapenos. So I'm just gonna cook this until those veggies start to soften and cook down a little bit. Before I add in the other stuff, I can go ahead and add my seasonings in here while these veggies cook down. So I'm going in with a little oregano. The recipe does call for basil, and I'm just not doing it because I just don't want this to taste like spaghetti sauce. Cumin in chili is a must. It just kind of gives you that earthy smokiness. Paprika really helps with that rich color. And then cayenne, it calls for a teaspoon. That kind of sounds like a lot. Maybe I'll start with a half a teaspoon. You can always add more. A little bit of sugar. This is going to cut some of the acid in the tomatoes. Salt, of course, and pepper. All right, and then I'm going to let this kind of toast before I add in the liquid. Keep in mind, you did not see me add a packet of chili seasoning. We don't need that. Okay, we don't need that. As a matter of fact, I don't think we need it in any recipe today. You've got those spices in your spice cabinet, and if you don't, you need to have them in there. And with some hot sauce, whichever kind you like, some Worcestershire. Before I add the beer, I'm going in with some tomato paste. See how we're just kind of building our layers of flavor in here. If we can get any of that stuff to caramelize, it's just gonna make for a richer flavor in the pot. Now we deglaze with our beer. It's nothing like that first sip of cold beer though. In with the tomatoes. Now those will kind of cook down and break down as this simmers. And then the beans. So for this one, it's all chili beans, which are just red beans. So 3 regular cans and 1 spicy can. I'm gonna add in a little water to these cans just to rinse the residual tomato out. And because it's gonna be super thick, so I told you, that's a pot of chili right there. Recipe calls for 4 bouillon cubes. That sounds like a lot. These are the larger cubes, so I really think I'll go 1.5. This has that MSG goodness in it, so it's really going to make this delicious. Okay, now you gotta let it do its thing. The instructions just say cover and then let it simmer all day, or at least 2 hours. So we're gonna go as long as we can. The tailgate has officially begun. Oh yeah, look at that. Everything's softened, it's thickened up, and it smells amazing. I did forget a key ingredient apparently in Boilermaker chili is bacon bits. I'm assuming it's the kind that come from the can or the bottle. I don't have that, but I did cook off a little bacon, finally chop it, so now we have real bacon bits going in. I love the bean to tomato to everything else ratio. All right, since this is our traditional chili of the day, I'm gonna top it in the most traditional way. Normally I would do saltines, but since it's a tailgate chili, I'm gonna go with the Fritos. And the Great Value version, of course, because I'm thrifty. And a little sour cream. The Boilermaker chili. This chili has almost 9,000 reviews on Allrecipes, so it better hold its weight. That's just a delicious, perfect chili right there. It's the classic one. It's what you expect when somebody says, you want to come over for a pot of chili. It's got all the richness. It's got spice a little bit in the back. You can always make it spicier if you want to. This is your crowd-pleasing chili right here. I've got to learn to stop myself. I've got a lot more to go. This next one is my creation and another one that is absolutely perfect for game day. This is buffalo chicken chili, and I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. This one's also the easiest of the day. It all comes together in the slow cooker. So I'm gonna do boneless, skinless chicken breast and chicken thighs. 2 cans of green chilies. And then 1 can of fire roasted tomatoes. I love using fire roasted in chili. It's just kind of like one flavor level up. Wing sauce, buffalo sauce. Packet of ranch seasoning because buffalo and ranch. Tablespoon of chili powder. And then a teaspoon of smoked paprika and cumin. And then 2.5 cups of chicken broth or chicken stock. The bulk of the chili is done right here. Just gonna crank this on high for about 2.5 hours. Then we finish it up. So easy. Lord, I almost forgot the onions. Okay, it smells delicious. Chicken is cooked. So you know how it goes usually when you're making chicken anything in the crock pot. After you've cooked it, we're gonna pull it out, shred it up, and put it back in. I kind of like chunky shreds, so that's the way I do it. I just don't want it to be like too stringy. All right, this goes back into the crock pot with some cream cheese to make it creamy. And I've had my cream cheese out softening. It's gonna melt in there better. Also stirring in 2 cans of white beans that have been drained and rinsed. I'm just gonna stir this in, cover it back up, and let it go another just like 15 minutes until everything is melted and creamy. Oh yeah, my cream cheese is like 95% melted, but I can't wait any longer. So here's how we serve it up. This might be your favorite one of the day. All right, now here's how I like to top this one off. Little cheddar cheese. You could also do some like crumbled blue cheese if you were really wanting to hype up the buffalo. Some green onion for just that little kind of bright, fresh crunch. What do you eat your buffalo chicken dip with but Fritos? Perfect bites. The whole bowl is a perfect bite. It's the unexpected one. It's the fun one to bring to the party. It's the one that's gonna win you the awards. I mean, you don't know if you're leaning more buffalo or more chili. It's the perfect combo, perfect balance. And like I said, a bowl of perfect bites. If you have never had real Texas chili, I'm gonna tell you, you're missing out. My favorite parts about traditional chili are like the juicy tomatoes and beans in it. Texas chili has neither one, but this flavor is so like creamy and rich that I find myself like craving this chili. So it starts out by reconstituting some dried chilies. The dried chilies are what gives Texas chili its unique flavor. So you can't skip this step. Okay, and dried chilies are super inexpensive. You can find them like in just about any grocery store. So you can just get a variety. You can just get all one kind, whatever. I've got a variety of pasilla, guajillo, and ancho chilies. The ancho chilies are kind of smoky. So you're going to put these in a skillet. We're just gonna kind of toast them up on the stove. All right, so just set them over like medium high heat. And you're just gonna cook them for just like 2 to 3 minutes, just until they become fragrant. This is gonna kind of bring those natural oils out of the dried chilies, and that's the first step. So throw them into a bowl, and then you're gonna cover them with hot water and let them steep, just like tea. So just kind of like press them down in there, and I'm gonna cover this with some plastic. You can see the water start to turn. This is going to really flavor our chili down the road. The meat for this is a chuck roast. You need about 4 pounds. So you're gonna take this and you're gonna cut it into like 3/4 inch to 1 inch cubes. You want them pretty small. So they're not gonna take as long to cook as your normal like beef stew or pot roast. And then as this simmers in that flavorful chili, I mean, it just like melts in your mouth. All right, in addition to our dried chilies, we're also going to use some chipotle chili in adobo. This is a smoked jalapeno. The flavor that comes from one of these, and it has a good kick of spice. All right, for the beef, you've got to brown it first, and so this is gonna have to happen in batches because we don't want it to steam in this pot. So you just wanna salt and pepper it, and then just kind of brown it off in batches and set it aside. All right, so my meat's getting a little browned, but it's also forming that flavor base on the bottom of the pot that we love. So I'm just gonna take this batch out, season up the next batch, and add it in. See that flavor? We're gonna saute our onions and garlic right in that. As this cooks, it's gonna lift up that flavor from the pan. While these onions cook down, we'll finish off the peppers. Chilies have softened, so we're gonna take off the stems and take the seeds out. And then like cut a slit in the side. Then you can just kind of run these under cold water to get all those seeds out. So all the heat of these peppers lies in those stems and veins and seeds. Now just give them a rough chop. We're gonna throw this with our chipotles in the blender. And then you wanna take some of that soaking liquid, and this is what's gonna help puree our peppers. And then just go until it's like a paste. You see that color? So rich. That's what the color of our chili is gonna ultimately look like. The onions have softened, and now I'm going in with some cumin, and again, kind of let that bloom in here, and then just a pinch of cinnamon. That's fragrant, and now in goes our beautiful chili paste. Toast that up for another minute. You see, what do I always tell you? Color equals what? Flavor. Okay, so that this soup is not broth, you know, you've got to thicken it up just a little bit. So our chilies are doing that, but also we're going to thicken it up with a little masa harina, which is corn flour. So you're just going to kind of go in with that into a bowl and let that stir to dissolve, and then we're going to add that into this mixture. Also just gives it that a little bit of like a sweet nuttiness. A quart of beef stock or broth. And be sure and like scrape the sides of the pot so that you really get every bit of flavor that we've built. And I'm also going in with some more water. I'm just gonna rinse out that blender. A couple bay leaves, and then all of our meatiness and any juices that have accumulated in there. All our hard work is about to pay off. All right, once it's come to a simmer, reduce the heat, and then just partially cover it for at least a couple hours or until that beef is melt in your mouth tender. The level of richness going on in this pot is like unbelievable. I'm gonna take out the bay leaves. All right, so to finish off this Texas chili, you go in with just a tablespoon of brown sugar and a tablespoon of vinegar. Not sure the science behind it other than the sugar is just gonna balance out some of that heat from all those chilies. And the vinegar is just gonna cut some of that richness because there's a lot of richness in that chuck. Let me make sure that beef is tender. Oh, hey, that's tender beef right there. Just gonna add in a little more salt, and then I'm just gonna sprinkle in a little more masa. Now you got like, it's almost like a gravy. Let's serve this one up because I'm very excited. Serving suggestions just say a little sour cream and lime. I might even add just a little like fresh jalapeno because I can. I kind of want cilantro, but I don't know if that's allowed. Okay, perfect bite right there. This is why I crave it. You don't get that flavor anywhere else. It is so, I know I keep saying rich, but it's so rich. But I am not lying when I tell you that meat literally melts in your mouth. I mean, go with the fresh jalapeno on there. Speechless. Celebrity chili up next, Patrick Mahomes. This has been flooding the top of the internet lately, and I'm gonna try it out. We'll see if he knows cooking as well as he knows football. We're gonna kind of make a green puree. So we start out by charring this poblano, and I'm just gonna do that over the stove. And you wanna like burn the skin so that it peels off easily, and it kind of creates a little smoky flavor. Once it's charred, place it into a bowl and cover it with plastic wrap, and then it will steam and loosen up that skin. While I wait on that, I'm gonna get everything else ready for the blender. So in goes another poblano that has been chopped, and then half a bunch of cilantro, and you wanna use parts that include the stem. Then in goes green enchilada sauce, and then a green chili of your choice. Could be spicy or not so spicy. I'll just take the seeds out and use a jalapeno. For some like creaminess factor, it gets white beans and corn, but you puree half of them, then you add the other half in with the chili. Then 2 cups of chicken stock. So now that it's steamed, you can just easily kind of scrape that skin off. And then I'm gonna take the ribs and seeds out as well. Chop this up, throw it in. This is gonna give it kind of a little bit of a smoky flavor. Puree this until it's smooth. Okay, so now everything's gonna come together in one pot. Per his instructions, it's like multiple pots and pans. We can be a little more efficient there, Pat, okay? So he uses ground turkey, and he has you browning it in a skillet and then adding it. We can do this all in one pan. So I'm gonna heat up a little avocado oil and get my onion going first. And Nicole made a little boo-boo. I was not supposed to put the poblano, the other poblano in there. It's supposed to go in here. So in with some more poblano. I mean, it's not gonna hurt to have more than we need. Also going in with some sweet potato. I love sweet potato in my chili. And then a little bit of garlic. I'm gonna scoot that over to the side a little bit and go in with our turkey. It's 2 pounds of ground turkey. And it's not the extra lean kind. It's not just the turkey breast. You want like the fattier ground turkey. That includes the dark meat. It's gonna have more flavor. Time to season it up. He specifically recommends Meat Church fajita seasoning, which is a good one. I don't know if it has any chili powder in it. And then cumin. And then he recommends the sazon. Now this is pretty popular. It's gonna add color and it has coriander in it. It says to taste, so I'm gonna start kind of on the conservative side. And then we can add salt also, but I'm gonna wait and see how all this is first. Now for our mixture. It is green chili, which is in the name. The rest of our beans and corn. I'm going in with more beans. Not sure I trust Mr. Mahomes after the Super Bowl, even though my team won. There's good news and bad news. The good news with this one is this only has to cook for about 20-30 minutes at this point, just until that sweet potato is softened and the flavors have come together. Bad news is it's not the prettiest bowl of chili, but we'll pretty it up when we serve it. Okay, looks a little better, I must say. But like I said, we're about to make it look prettier. It smells divine. I think the toppings are where you can make this really pretty. Right, he suggests cheese and sour cream. I'm thinking a little queso fresco would be nice. More cilantro, those tops. Maybe some pickled red onion. This is a bonus. And he suggests sour cream. Let's see if he's as good at cooking as he is football. I'm not mad at it. The puree does like thicken it nicely. It's got a lot of good smokiness from that cumin. Very warming. It's just a fun new take on chili. The little bites of sweet potato just kind of add a little punch of sweetness that balances out the smoky. Fine. It's a touchdown. For my final trick, a vegetarian chili, because everyone needs a good veggie chili recipe, and this is going to be that. I could even call it veggie drawer chili because this is the perfect time to just clean out your veggie drawer. So I've got some poblano, some red bell pepper, a little celery. Until today, I've never really put celery in my chili, but it worked for the Boilermaker, so why not here? Some carrot and then some sweet potato. I love the sweet potato in my chili. You could also use butternut squash here if you want. And then onion, you've got to have onion. Plus I have a little trick up my sleeve that I use sometimes when I make chili, and I'm gonna use that trick in this chili. That's all the prep. Everything else just gets thrown in the pot. The ultimate dump, dump, go, but it is a one-pan meal, so you know I like to build the flavor. So I'm going to saute the veggies and try to achieve a little caramelization in here. So I'm just going to saute these till they get a little color on them. Now I'm just going to go in with the rest of the veg. I'm going to toast my spices with my veggies as they saute. So chili powder per usual, cumin per usual, and a little garlic powder just to save you from having to chop up garlic. I'm also going to go in with some chipotle peppers again, just for that, smoky heat. Salt and pepper. All right, so to lift up the flavor, the tomatoes again. And I'm using the fire roasted. And then there is so much flavor here. You can just go in with water. If you're really not caring about, being strictly vegetarian, you can go with chicken stock here. But I'm going to keep it veggie for my friends at work. And I'm going in with veggie broth. And see how it just kind of cleaned up that pot. I'm doing 1 can of chili beans that already has the sauce in it, so not draining this one. And then I have 2 cans of black beans that I have drained and rinsed. So that's it. I'm just going to bring this to a boil and then reduce it and just let it simmer till those veggies are tender, and then I'll add in my little magic trick. Smelling good, looking like chili. But see, I really like a rich and almost creamy chili. So this one almost, looks a little soupy as far as like the broth goes. So the magic trick, refried beans. No one will ever know. I'm gonna add the can in and it will just kind of melt in there. Chili does have quite the fiber content, and fiber is a big deal these days. Just watch how it changes. It makes it almost like velvety. See, it's gone. I'm telling you, it's just the best thing. Let it go about 10 more minutes and this one is done. This is perfection. When it comes to vegetarian chilies, you do not miss the meat with this one. Look at that. Thick, creamy, just like a chili's supposed to be. This is one of those things, like, because it's creamy, that you think it's more indulgent than it is. This is very healthy. Put little to no fat in here. Go in with some fresh cilantro. One thing I haven't done yet today is serve my chili with saltine crackers. This seems like the appropriate time. The chili itself has just enough heat, which is not a lot. So if you want to kick it up a little bit, you can. Veggie chili. All those little like chunks of juicy veggie, but then you've got that creaminess from the beans. There's a lot of flavor going on in here. Thanks to the chipotle peppers and those fire roasted tomatoes and that cumin, you get a lot of like the smokiness. And I'm telling you, black beans plus sweet potatoes, it's just like a match made in heaven. If you're looking for a good vegetarian chili recipe, this is the one, and don't forget about the magic trick. This is the one-stop shop to find the perfect recipe for any chili this season. The hardest decision you're gonna have to make is which one to make first. I do need a beer.